My husband's family helped him evict me from our home after his affair. You have 10 minutes to get out. I froze, gripping the doorknob. My breath caught in my throat. My husband stood in front of me, his mother at his side, his entire family watching like I was nothing. Behind me, on the porch, my suitcase sat packed, but I didn't pack it. Just days ago, I was his wife. This was my home. But then I found out about the affair, and instead of him begging for forgiveness, I was the one being thrown out. His mother crossed her arms, smirking. His sister whispered something and laughed. They knew. They planned this. And my husband? He didn't even look sorry. I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could, he said it again. Get out. Now. And that's when I realized this wasn't just betrayal. This was war. The first time I felt something was wrong, it was subtle. A missed phone call, a late-night meeting, a text message he quickly swiped away. I told myself I was overthinking. We had been married for 6 years. Why would he betray me? I wasn't a perfect wife, but I was a loving one. I stood by him when he lost his job, when his father was sick, when his mother made me feel like I wasn't good enough. I fought for this marriage. But now, standing in front of our home, thrown out like a stranger, I realized I was the only one fighting. It started with whispers, his family, always watching me, always judging. His mother never liked me. His sister rolled her eyes when I spoke, but I never thought they would do this. 2 months ago, I started noticing changes. He became distant. Conversations turned cold. The warmth in his eyes was gone. Then, one night, his phone buzzed at 2 a.m. He reached for it so fast I felt my stomach drop. Who is that? I asked. Work, he muttered, turning his back. Work at 2 a.m.? I should have pressed harder. I should have seen it then. But love makes you blind. Then, one evening, I came home to silence. The lights were off, his car was gone. Something didn't feel right. My heart pounded as I walked inside. And then, I saw it. A wine glass on the table. 2 plates in the sink. A faint trace of perfume in the air. He wasn't just distant. He wasn't alone. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I swallowed my pain. I needed proof. I needed the truth. The next day, I waited. I watched. And when he left for another meeting, I followed. That's when I saw her. Young, beautiful, laughing as she climbed into his car. He kissed her. Right there. No hesitation. No shame. My world collapsed. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't crazy. My husband was cheating on me. I confronted him that night, expecting guilt, apologies, something. Instead, he looked at me like I was an inconvenience. You always make things so dramatic. His voice was cold. Dramatic? I had just caught him with another woman. My hands trembled as I demanded answers. Who was she? How long had this been going on? Did I mean nothing to him? He sighed, rubbed his face, then said words that would haunt me forever. You're not enough for me anymore. The room spun. My chest tightened. I wasn't enough? The woman who stood by him through everything? The wife who loved him when no one else did? I expected a fight. I never expected him to walk away. 2 days later, his family got involved. His mother called me, her voice dripping with fake concern. Maybe it's time you move on, she said. Move on? From my own husband? His sister sent me a text. You should leave before things get ugly. And then, the final blow. I came home to find my bags packed, my key no longer working. They had locked me out of my own house. I banged on the door, screaming for him to let me in. Silence. Then, footsteps. The door opened just enough for his mother to look me in the eye. You don't belong here anymore. And then, she shut the door. I was shaking. This wasn't just betrayal. This was planned. His family had turned against me, and now they had taken everything. But as I stood there, the cold night air wrapping around me, I realized something. This wasn't the end of my story. This was just the beginning. The night after they threw me out, I sat in my car, staring at the house I once called home. I had nothing but my suitcase and a phone at 5% battery. I called him. No answer. Called again. Blocked. I tried to log into our joint bank account. Access denied. My stomach twisted. I tried again. Wrong password. My hands shook as I pulled up my savings. Drained. He took everything. The air left my lungs, my rent money, my emergency fund, gone. He had emptied it all before locking me out, and I never saw it coming. I rushed to the bank the next morning, hoping it was a mistake. The teller gave me a pitiful look before confirming the worst. The account was in his name. He had full control. Tears burned my eyes. I wasn't just abandoned, I was erased. I had nowhere to go, no family close by, no money for a hotel. How could someone I loved do this to me? Then, the final blow came. A notice taped to my old front door. Divorce papers. No message, no explanation. Just cold legal words telling me I was no longer his wife. My hands clenched into fists. After everything, he couldn't even look me in the eye. That's when something in me snapped. I wasn't going to be his victim. I wiped my tears and made a call to a lawyer. If he thought he could throw me away like trash, he was about to regret it. Top of form, bottom of form. I sat across from my lawyer, gripping the armrests of the chair as she flipped through the divorce papers. He's trying to leave you with nothing? I already knew that, but hearing it out loud made my blood boil. Can we fight this? My voice was steady, but inside I was burning. She nodded. Absolutely. You have rights? He can't just throw you out and take everything. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than pain. I felt fire. I had spent years building a life with him, supporting him when he had nothing, and now he thought he could erase me, not without a fight. The next day, I did something I never thought I'd do. I walked right back into that house. His mother answered the door, her smirk vanishing when she saw me. You don't belong here. Actually, I do. I stepped past her, my heels clicking against the floor. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can take it up with my lawyer. My husband stormed into the room, furious. What are you doing here? I smiled, standing my ground. His family watched in stunned silence as I pulled out the legal documents. I wasn't just getting what I was owed, I was taking back my power. For the first time, he looked scared. The legal battle was long, draining, and brutal. His family fought me every step of the way, twisting the truth, painting me as the villain. But they underestimated me. I wasn't the scared, broken woman they had thrown out. I was stronger now, and I had nothing left to lose. In the end, justice was mine. I got my share, my name was cleared, and he lost more than he ever expected. The day the settlement was finalized, I walked past him in the courthouse hallway. For the first time, he couldn't even look at me. I should have felt victorious. But as I stepped out into the world, free, finally free, I realized something. I didn't need revenge. I had something better. Myself. The love I gave him, it was never wasted. It just went to the wrong person. And now, I was ready to give it to someone who truly deserved it. Me.